MJF and William Regal on Dynamite had a segment that a lot of people were talking about. Did you get a chance to see at least that?
Yes, I did, because it was Wednesday night that I was sitting on the couch in the TV room, and Stace she'd turned the light out in the bedroom because she wanted to try to sleep. And I think the whatever it is, the steroids or whatever that causes the sleeplessness works more on me naturally because I'm a little wired upper anyway. So she's able to sleep a little more. So I'm trying to sit in a TV room. It's 8:00. I say, you know what? Danielson versus Dax. Certainly they'll lead with that. I knew I probably wasn't going to be able to make it to MJF because I was already, but I said, so I tuned in at 8:00, and instead of Danielson and Dax, I see Moxley walking through the crowd, and I see, I can't stomach this, feeling like this and looking at this guy to get to the match. I'll watch it tomorrow. So I felt even worse the next day, and there was no way I was going to subject myself to the whole program. That will happen on the Experience this weekend. We're not going to talk about everything in minute detail, but I do want to see and discuss Danielson and Dax, obviously. But I had to watch our boy. Shouldn't even call him our boy because that's disrespectful. Our new AEW World Champion, and the explanation, the presentation, whatever the fuck they're going to do. So that's what I watched, and we'll discuss it, but I think nobody can deny now that this was not the original plan, or even the original plan after CM Punk went down. Whether it was whether the media scrum had happened or not, he was still injured. But starting from that point where they knew, okay, we ain't gonna have Punk for 2 months or whatever the fuck, and whether or not he ever comes back, and we don't have it, but here's the AEW title picture we're going to start from right now. This thing is starting to remind me of when I used to book OVW in a reactionary basis based on John Laryngitis calling to tell me, okay, I know I thought you'd have this guy for 6 months, but we're taking him next week. Or, we're sending a guy down that you've never heard of. He'll be there tomorrow. Put him on TV Thursday. Or here's your top heel in the company. We've just debuted him as a preliminary babyface on SmackDown with no notice, or whatever the case. And that I would have to make adjustments. There's a lot of adjustments being made. And I don't think anybody can say that if they look at I'm not going to shit on what they did. This was the thing they should have done based on what is going on right now. So don't think I'm going to shit on this before we get to the details of it. But nobody can think that this is what they sat down 2 months ago or 10 weeks ago or whatever, said, we want to do this from week to week to week, and this is it. Do you see what it did? Am I delirious, or did you understand that?
No, and I actually just read some quotes from an interesting interview Stokely Hathaway did on, maybe it was Renee Paquette's show, and he said that the original plan coming out of the pay-per-view, out of All Out, I guess it was for them, the firm, to feud with CM Punk, because CM Punk specifically requested that he wanted to do something with Stokely because he liked Stokely. He thought there's something there. I think if you hear that, it's easy to read that also means it would have been Stokely, the firm, and MJF versus CM Punk.
Well, but I'm talking about after that as well. Once they determined there's going to be no Punk, what's our plan now? It's still not the same. This is literally, it's looking to me reactionary based on what the fuck is going on and who Tony is listening to from one week to another, and who they think is still going to be fucking around, and or who might not still be around, as we'll discuss. I don't think this is the coherent fucking line that they have been intending to do for the past 8 or 10 weeks. I think it's going back and forth. It's either that or they're all just crazy. I don't know. But it looks to me like what I was doing when I would hear from some outside force that I could not control, which there's plenty of them for Tony right now. Nope, I ain't going to do that. Or nope, you ain't going to have this guy. Or nope, yes, this guy's got to be involved or whatever the fuck. Because I'm just, somebody ought to write it down, synopsize it as they do in the television. But here's our show Bible and tell this coherent linear story. Can you imagine that if they just took like the top 20 most used wrestlers or talents on AEW television and for 1 year said, here is their coherent linear story, and everybody would be fucking everybody's dog and goddamn, it'd be a fire drill.
Well, I don't know if they'll allow that on TBS, but what I was going to say is, in every way you're right, except for actually the big overarching thing, the beginning and the end, that actually tied together. MJF confronting Regal with that email. This crushed me. I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah.
I was a young wrestler. This is what you did to me. Feeding into Regal, wanting to see him do it clean. Gets Regal, turns on him. Ends it with him laying there. Gets stretchered out. Who the fuck gets stretchered out anymore? He gets stretchered out to say goodbye, to go back home to Connecticut. And MJF hits him with the email. That part made sense. And MJF's more evil than ever before because he did this just to screw this guy, who people actually liked for some reason.
Yeah, that that's one of a couple of that is the imperfect scenario. The problem, we got all of this other caca, and we got it in 2 weeks. Because now apparently Regal ain't gonna be there long, which you called, except the last week's exit that he made was a shitty way to go, but you said it does, in case he never comes back, that's his exit from television. And you were right. Who were you right about their exit? And we never saw him again about a year ago. Nevertheless.
Cody Rhodes?
Cody. So, but it would have been the shits. This was the way they should have done it, but they gave him 2 exits. But they also gave him 2 exits. If they had, I think this obviously puts a period on whether they got Regal for long or not, because if they had Regal for long, they would have left him with MJF so that they could establish themselves so that when MJF did that, it still would be so much better. But instead, they rushed through it. But then why was Regal there last week when all he did was stand there and he didn't speak? And we said, why is he a bump on a log? Was that just to placate?
That was to appease Moxley. That's exactly what that was.
Placate Moxley so he could at least tell him off to his face on TV before he left. Anyway, so obviously Regal comes out on the segment on television and, gives and has heel heat, which this would be so good if Tony had not only had a real company, Pinocchio, but actually given Regal some important standing in it, not as an on-air person. I'm talking about to help run that fucking zoo. Maybe he would have wanted to stay, even though, Triple Paul got back in power.
And we could talk all about Regal and all that afterwards, but you said something a few weeks ago about Moxley, and it was true. He had boo-boo face. I don't want to do the job face. Regal had that here too.
Well, and I think a lot of this is obviously feeding off each other since it's same social circle. But anyway, he brings MJF out, and it would have been a great combination, like I said, if all worlds had aligned. And MJF's promo there, he has heat back again, and he has his demeanor back again. He still has his partisans, obviously, but now they were pissed off that because at this point, part of them may be working with him, and part of them now are pissed off because now you've gone too far, blah, 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 whatever the fuck. But the point is, he gave as adequate and articulate an explanation tying all of these things together that you've mentioned as possibly, I think, could humanly, verbally be done on a wrestling program. I think he needs to lose the word disgusting. Get your dictionary of synonyms and antonyms, Maxwell. I had one by the time I was 22 years old. And, but, you know, he's still, I thought, a little bit more on insulting the people. And we analyzed that in one of the shows we did a couple months ago. He is going to have to, again, heal himself to each town individually to fully become a heel, because they're seeing him. The people in Des Moines or Chicago or Indianapolis or whatever town he's in are seeing him for one or two times they'll see him live that year. So they're going to be up, but he shouldn't rely too much on that, because it becomes repetitive more easily for the television audience. They're not as digging it as much because they're not in the arena, in the environment. They're not being grouped in with the audience that is being insulted. And so they're sitting back watching it in a more detached fashion on the screen. And then it becomes more than, all the witty references in the world, you know, boom, boom, because he's so quick, are welcomed. But when he just goes for the, you disgusting, poor, trench-mouthed individual or whatever, it becomes more repetitious on television. I think you should watch that, because this was a long segment anyway. But the point is, he made the explanation. They introduced the new BBB belt, the Big Burberry belt, which it didn't look, I can see it when they did the close-up of it, but farther back, it didn't look appreciably different from the other one, but I get the point.
When they first revealed it, you couldn't tell that it was anything other than just another version of the belt, and then they had to do the close-ups.
But close-ups are everything. But at that point, then as he's addressing Regal, you know, he finishes the whole Zabada and walks around behind him, which it was kind of odd, because Regal was all the way in the corner. And I was like, why is he walking over there to the turnbuckle? But then out of nowhere, boom, with the brass knucks. Oh, and the great line at the end where he said, "You told me not to go for the diamond ring, but to go for the brass ring." And you know, the little play on Vince's famous comment. And then boom, and he blasts him, and Regal goes down and I don't know how I felt about Regal laying there completely immobile for that long of a time, because as he goes down, then MJF finishes his promo kneeling beside him. It was a bit of a long bit at the end where MJF was talking so long that the doctor and or somebody should have been there. That doesn't mean he's standing there with brass knucks in his fucking hand. It doesn't mean that the doctor has to, you know, physically assault him, try to get him away, but it could have been good if they slid in and gave him some distance just to where there was some help arriving on the scene, because the time that was elapsed when he was squatting there talking to him, combined with Regal never moving on his own, I don't think ever, until the doctor and they turned him over and put him on the backboard. He got hit in the base of the skull with brass knuckles. Yes, you know, he took a great bump and he laid there. Should there have been some, I don't know, even would a leg involuntarily move, or would there be a twitching of a hand or whatever? It was almost, I don't know. But nevertheless, then to my surprise and pleasure, they actually showed the backboard process, and, you know, they stayed with something. They let something happen rather than Oh my God, his head's just hit the ground after being cut off by a chainsaw. We'll be right back. They stayed with it until they got in the ring and they got him on the backboard and they wrapped his neck up and the announcers are making it a fairly grave situation or whatever. And as they're carrying him out, then they fade to black. So at least they had the discipline and the restraint to not just kill William Regal and then just go to black before the doctor ever even pronounced time of death.
So let's go back to last week with Moxley. What do you think that was? Do you think that's Moxley getting upset because he can't get his hands on Regal in an angle? Even though that's the guy he wants to work with the most, that it makes no sense, because if he gets his hands on him before MJF does, it completely takes everything that MJF's about to do away from him.
Right. Well, exactly. Yes, obviously you couldn't have. That's why I was saying last week, why is Regal standing there taking his tongue lashing? They can't touch him. Makes Moxley look like an idiot. Danielson has to come out there and talk about how he found the love for his mother of his father is through his brother that he never knew, or whatever the fuck that song and dance was that got Bryan Danielson moved out of the fucking building. And so instead of MJF and Regal both being on the movie set, yeah, and have a VTR from us, and we'll be there next week and tell you, ignorant, sorry sons of snake feces, what's up. Instead of that, he stands there and takes his tongue lashing and then walks off and turns Danielson heel, makes Moxley look like an idiot. The only had to, because think about this for Moxley. And I had some people saying, oh, Moxley wouldn't have had boo-boo job face for dropping the world title to MJF because he already wanted to take time off. He was supposed to have a vacation. Number one, a fucking vacation from a 1 day a week job where you make 7 figures. Fuck you. I didn't ask for a goddamn 6-week vacation from a goddamn 7 day, 8 time a week job from Crockett where I was making a couple $100,000. Secondly, there's a difference between not getting to go on your vacation after you drop the title that you already knew you were going to drop, and after all of this, now he's got it again, and now that he ain't ready to fucking drop it. But the point is, again, Moxley's caught in the middle of this thing because this was not a coherent story from start to finish. And it hasn't been even since Punk and the media scrum and his injury where they knew one way or another he wasn't going to be around. It's been back and forth. And Moxley, I think, as I've said, thinks he probably might have been the one to carry this thing, maybe. You could tell kind of for a couple of weeks there he was getting a little saucy. But it doesn't make sense unless Moxley just wanted to come out and tell fucking William Regal off to his face, because elsewise he got turned on by this whole Blackpool Combat Club nonsense. He got turned on by a guy that then was going to get turned on by the guy that he got turned on for. This sounds like the fucking plot of a gay porn film. But there would have been no MJF beating or brain damaging William Regal on this program if it had. And now PW Insiders come out and said that the rumors are strong. Tony Khan won't comment, but that Regal is WWE bound. And right now it's the first part of December, and he only signed a contract 9 months ago. So even if he signed a 1-year contract, it wouldn't be up this soon unless he was just asking, yeah, but please, can I check, please? Can I just leave?
I want to go home. Please let me go home.
Home and be alone. So yes, Moxley should have, in a perfect wrestling world, it makes total sense for Moxley at some point to have gotten his hands on William Regal and committed physical mayhem. But it didn't make sense in what they're doing now for anybody to get him except MJF, But it doesn't make sense what they did now unless William Regal is being let out of his contract to go back to the WWE earlier than they apparently assumed when they signed him that he would be. Have I summarized and synopsized that in a appropriate manner for a person on drugs?
Yes, and I'll do my best to be on drugs with you after the next break. But let me
that way you got to get sick first. You can't just willy-nilly just do some drugs.
I'm in mourning.